is it, I want to see also, who does not have our Siddur? Just like for
It's never been sent out,
No.
Elliot. No,
no,
but
no,
only.
I did send it out to a bunch of people.
Oh, online you did.
Right. I'm
Did
just
it online.
I did, sure. Online.
So I can also send it out on the mail. So if people want, just let me know.
Okay, I thought I sent that to a bunch of
Yeah,
people.
I could use it.
Okay, all right. So let me just do a share right here, and we'll get started. Okay. Okay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, la, 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 ay, ay. Ay la ya la la ya. Ay na ya la la la. Ay la 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 la. Ay na ya na na ya na na ya. One more time. Ay, la la la. Ay, na na, ya na na, ya na na na. Ay, na 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 na. Beginning with gratitude. Moda, moda ani lefanecha. 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 Ruach chai v'kayam. De ani lefanecha ruach chai v'kayam. De אני לפניך מודה אני לפניך. Let's do something different. Let's sing Yigdal Elohim Chai, from which is both at the beginning and at the end of the Siddur, and it's based on Moses Maimonides' 13 Principles of Faith turned into a song, philosophy turned into a kind of poem, and I hope you can read it. And I find that when I make it full screen, there's other kinds of problems. So I'm going to keep it at this here. And we'll use an old Sephardi melody from Jerusalem. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtarabach Yimta ve'enet el mechiuto Echad ve'yachid כייחודו נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו. They want to mute. אין לו דמות הגוף, אינו גוף. לא נערוך אלא קדושתו. קדמו לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לבראשיתו. הינו אדון עולם לכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו. לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומביט את תמונתו. תורת אמת נתן לעמו על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו. לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו, לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ויודע סתרנו, ומביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו. גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרשעתו. ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפתומך כקץ ישועתו. מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עד שם תהילתו. metim yechaye'el berov chazdo. Baruch Ad Shem Tehilato. Breathing in deeply, breathing out. Breathing in the love of Shabbat and staying with it. And breathing out Shalom. Breathing in Shabbat, letting it infuse your whole body. Breathing out Shalom. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehurahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehurahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi Tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi Tehorahi. Breathing in and out is a kind of prayer. Feeling yourself to be semi-permeable to the world. And joining with the chorus of all breathing beings with the Holy One of blessing. And here comes the awkward part, where I invite people to stand up if that's comfortable, and to move. All my papers fell in the process. So it goes, and so just to feel that extension of the body, stretch up and bend over, feeling like you're a waterfall of blessing, and then stand up, drawing up the wellspring of blessing, and again lifting up your hands to the heavens, feeling your feet rooted in the earth, and stretch out and twist with the wind. Feel the presence all around you in all the directions, and make like a lulav, bending forward, bending to the right, bending to the left, bending back, bending, stretching up and reaching down. And let's cover our eyes for a moment with our hands, rub our eyelids, and open our eyes up. Baruch atah Eloheinu chai olamim. Number 3, Pokeach ivrim, who opens the eyes of the sightless. And let's maybe grab our elbows, feel that boundedness here, that you're as though you're tied And Tatir Tzura, unfold your arms and feel the movement of the arms here and of the legs. Number 5. Baruch atah Eloheinu ha'olamim matira asurim who frees the bound and bending over. And come up rib by rib. Stretch bit. Baruch atah, number 6, Eloteinu ruach haolam, so kefed hakfufim, who raises up those of us who are bent over. And now we take a couple mindful steps. Baruch atah ya Eloheinu ha'olamim amechin mitzadei gaver, who makes firm a person's steps. And here we do a check-in diagnostic. Do we have what we need to be present here? The answer may be a glass of water. Are we arriving? Have we arrived? Do we have what we need to be present in this time? Not always easy. So it's just a diagnostic. Number 8. Baruch atah Eloheinu ruach haolam she'asta li kol tzorki, who provides for all my needs. And think about our core strength. Feel that, if you will, just radiating out from the center of our torso. Baruch atah Eloheinu ha'olamim ozer Yisrael b'gvura, which circles the people Israel with strength. And feel your hand, your fingers just above the crown of your head, so you're just barely touching your hair, barely. Feel that. Just lift up a little more. Feel that radiance around your head. Baruch atah Eloheinu ha'olamim. Oteret Yisrael b'tifara, who crowns us with beauty, moving down. Let's go to number 14. Energetically connect to everyone in this Zoom room as best you can. Feel that connection, the giving and the receiving, the yearning, the stretching, and maybe taking some solace and some renewal from connecting. Baruch atah Eloteinu ruach haolam anotenet laya'ef koach, who gives strength to those of us who are weary and who is not Ay, 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 ba, 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 da, 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 da. Ashrenu umatov kalkenu umanaim goralenu. Yanana, 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 nanana, yanana, na, 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 na. Ay, na, 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 ya, na, 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 oh, Asenu matov kalkenu umanaim goralenu. Ashrenu matov kalkenu umanaim goralenu. Yanana, ay, 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 yanana, ay, 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 ya, da, 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 na, 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 ay, na, 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 oh, check in right here. Yeah, my davening stance actually is standing, so I find sitting a little funny for me, but so it goes. I suppose I could try to find a stand that was at the right position. Welcome everyone here, to Barbara, to Linda, to Dvora, to, oh my goodness, Linda, and I know Linda is there, and Renee and Jane and Gabrielle, and I guess, yeah, I think I said everyone. So welcome. And so this week's parsha is Naso. It's lifting up. It's lifting up to be counted. And so I thought that this is usually a part of the davening in Birchot HaShachar. There is a tradition in the early morning blessings to do a little Torah study. And so indeed, that's what we're going to do. And I'm just going to go to the most famous part. I don't even know the pager, so for you, look away if you get dizzy from this. Here, let me just sort of marked it, but I didn't, because I was gonna, I went too far. I wanted to show you something from, I have it from the Torah study. Well, this is not necessarily better here, but this, of course, is uh, the most famous part of this week's portion from the book of Numbers. Oh, I don't know. It's something like chapters 5 through 8. It's a very long parsha in terms of the psukim, the verses that are there, and you can see here that this is. You know what? I'm gonna actually take that down for a second. Oh, I think we're not doing a share screen anyhow, it seems, right? So that seems to have stopped. I'm going to put up maybe another text here, just so you see it, and then I'll take it down. Not this one. Okay, it is not this one. Okay. Nope. Okay. When I rebooted, my order got all thrown off. Okay, Birkat HaKohanim text. This is what I want. Okay, I'll put this up here. And here goes. Okay, so this is from chapter 6 of Numbers, of Bemidbar, Parshat Naso, the lifting up and the carrying, if you will. And this is the blessing here. We'll just read this, and I'm just going to call on you if you don't mind, because I can tell you I will start with Jane and then go to Dvora, and just to read from chapter, just verse 22. Read a couple of them, and then we'll have Dvora and baby Barbara read the last one. Go ahead.
And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel. You shall say unto them.
Okay, and Dvorah? You have to unmute here.
Oh,
Go ahead, I unmuted. Oh, no, go do it again.
okay. Should I read the 3?
Yes, go do the 3. Sure, yeah. We'll get Barbara in later, yeah.
Okay, and yeah, there's the. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace.
Okay, and then Barbara at verse 27.
So shall they put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them.
Okay, so this is, such a central and famous, this is annoying me, teaching here. And so we know this as Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the priests, but it's the blessing of love. When this is recited in a more traditional synagogue where there's actually a practice which we call duchening, where the Kohanim are they go out in the hall, and their hands and sometimes feet are washed by the Leviim, and they come and they wrap themselves in a talit, and they face the kahal, and they do the famous Leonard Nimoy Spock blessing, the priestly blessing. It's called Nisiat Kapayim, the lifting up of the hands, and it is a kind of beaming of love and blessing. The bracha is Amvarech et amo Yisrael ba'ava, to bless the people of Israel with love. So it's a kind of beaming of love. It's very old in Jewish tradition. Famously, there is some sort of fragment that was found in the just outside the Hinnom, the Valley of Hinnom section of Jerusalem, near the Temple Mount, that from about 600 before the Common Era, in other words, just around the time of the destruction of the first temple, that has this blessing on it. So very, very ancient. And in the more egalitarian reaches of the Jewish world, this is often this is said in the repetition of the Amidah, and instead of just answering Amen to it, to each verse, people say Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be the divine will that this is true. But this is said in other settings as well. For example, anyone? There's a few, but well, one of the most famous cases is the blessing of the children, and which is done traditionally on Friday evening on Shabbat, sometime around the Kiddush. There's different traditions for where you say it before the Kiddush, or I mean, you say it before the Kiddush, but sometimes people do it before Shalom Aleichem, other times afterwards. There's different traditions. And what's so powerful about this is the tradition is, if it is a boy, you'd say, Yisimcha Elohim kefraim v'chim Naseh, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph, to know that blessing. For a girl, Yisimech Elohim, may God make you, or see, like Sarah, like Sarah, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, like Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. And if you're gender fluid, I guess you probably would riff on that in some way. But that's the tradition there. And what's so powerful about that, I mean, people can speak to this, just what it's like to put your hands on a child. Some of you have also received that blessing from other people at various times. People work it in to different parts of different ceremonies, even like a wedding ceremony. It's not necessarily traditionally a part, but often these days is added and just a blessing of well-being. I want to look at it with you, and then I want to ask a couple questions that we can reflect on to kind of check in on. So Ko Tivarchu, in this way you shall bless the people of Israel. One of the things that's really interesting is the way that that's interpreted in rabbinic tradition is that those who are blessing the people are always facing the people. In other words, their back is to the ark. And their back is to the divine, to the locus of the divine, let's put it that way. And they're facing the people. So powerful is the connection with the people and the flow of blessing, which, in some ways is face to face. Although some of you know that the tradition is what do people, if you've ever seen this, what people traditionally do during Birkat Kohanim in a traditional setting?
You don't look.
You don't look. You turn away. You look at the ground, or you put your talit over your eyes, or you do something. You look away. There's all kinds of folk traditions. What, you'll be blinded, this and that. Very often people steal a glance when you're a kid, and you see, oh, I'm not blinded, but you look away. There's something very powerful about this gaze, and the Kohanim themselves are wrapped like this, right? And you see like the fingers coming up if you do steal a glance, right? But let's see what it says here. May God bless you and protect you. May God, Yudhe Vave, shine God's face upon you. So there's a sense of intimacy here and illumination, and that receiving of light from the divine is like an act of showing grace, the free flow of care, of love. And then finally, Yisadonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift up, that key word from this week's parasha Naso. May God lift up, Yudhe Vave, lift up Yudhe Vave's face towards you, a turning towards, a looking up at, right? A deep acknowledgement, a deep seeing, and grant you shalom, well-being, peace. So we can, again, look at this for a second. We see it starts with the blessing, the flowing of blessing of protection, then of illumination and the experience of grace, the feeling of that unprompted love, and then finally a kind of an interaction here, God lifting up their face towards you again. It's a turning towards, or lifting up towards, and the granting of a complete well-being. It's as though there's a cascading of blessing here, and you can look here and you can see how many words there are in the verses. You can count in Hebrew here. Okay, anyone? 357. 357. There's a cascading of words, a cascading of blessing that moves from protection and feeling safe to the experience of some kind of loving grace and illumination, right? Mm-hmm. And then a powerful sense of well-being and being in relationship with. So it's just so elemental. And so what does it mean so my questions are here, and then we're going to go on a second, is, you know, where, what happens in the course of this blessing, right? And part of all of the players here, where do the hands of the blesser go, right? Is it a lifting up, a beaming towards, a nisiat kapayim? Is it the placing of the hands on, right? And what happened, that which is in the blessing of the children very often. But you could be blessed. Anyone can be blessed with this too. And in renewal, everyone blesses everyone, right? Where does the blesser face? How does the blessee receive? How and where does blessing flow, right? And there's a kind of a holy triangulation of blessing here that connects it connects the blesser, the blessee, and the divine source in this moment. It's like what happens in any blessing, that is to say, you tear the veil apart of separation, and there is a flow of energy. And one of the things that's very amazing, that I think most of us can attest to, is that v'hamivalech yivroach, the one who offers blessing is I'll just use are themselves blessed, right? To bless another is to be blessed, right? You have to tap into the wellspring of blessing, become a conduit. It flows through you but doesn't stop at you, and connects you in a special way. And so, one of the questions I have is like, what happens in the flow of blessing here? And I realize we can come back to this maybe in our the broader Torah study. But here's the question I maybe that we can check in with: is there a blessing that we feel now, at this moment, or more broadly in our lives? Is there some blessing that we need or wish to open up to? And what is the blessing that we nasa, that we carry, that we are offering? So the blessing that we are feeling or receiving now, that which we are opening up to, and that which we wish to offer. And let's, unlike me, let's try to be brief here, and as we check in. Okay, can I just do the stop share so that we can see each other? Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, so the blessing that we are receiving, that's flowing through us, the blessing we wish to open up to now in a deeper sense, and the blessing that we are offering up. Okay, and does anyone want to start? I don't have to necessarily start right now. And if that's too many, just choose one of them. No worries. Receiving, opening up to, offering up. How about?
I'll start.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So as Linda, Joe, one of the Lindas, and
just say where you're from, so
Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because as you were going through this, I was singing Fiddler on the Roof, and also remembering that my rabbi, as a young child growing up, every service he would put he would say those blessings to the congregation at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to say the blessing of possibility.
Beautiful. Awesome. And let's see, I'm going to see the next people I see are Gabrielle and Delinda.
It's hard for me to articulate, actually. It's more.
Gabrielle is in Ann Arbor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Gabrielle and I'm in Ann Arbor. Sorry. I feel I feel, I mean, I think like Linda, I feel the blessing of possibility that a lot of, through connection, there is opening, through learning, there is opening, through music, there is opening. And and then you attune to whatever those things are and then
Mm,
recycle it
mm,
back in your own way. And so those are the blessings that I'm
mm,
with right now.
the cycling through. Thank you so much. Delinda and Barbara.
Delinda from Ann Arbor, and I have been involved in learning davening and participating in prayer, and actually being prayed by prayer is what I've experienced, and that is just sort of a growing fountain of blessing, and also of creativity as I move and participate in the world.
Fountain of blessing. Yeah, beautiful. And Barbara and Dvora.
I'm sorry, what am I supposed to respond to?
Okay, so we'll come back to you. So
Okay.
it is either the blessing you are receiving now, the blessing you that you wish to open up to, and the blessing that you wish to offer up. And you can answer any one of those. But we'll come back to you in a minute, so you can
Okay.
think. So Dvora, and then Linda.
Well, I'd like to do all three since they're different for me.
Sure.
The one I'm receiving
Mhm.
is this time at home to regroup and maybe get a new start.
Mhm.
Um,
And
the,
just say where you're
oh, I'm sorry. I'm from North Hills in just north of Los Angeles in the Valley.
Mhm.
And so that's been a blessing to be able to be here and be in my garden and reinvent myself one more time. The one that I'm opening up towards is security and love in my life. And the one that I'm offering is awareness of the African American experience in the United States. I've been sharing with people from my own life and my studies, and just raised consciousness.
Shamati. And Linda, Dominic, and then Renee. Oh, and Linda, you might want to unmute. Linda, you still need to unmute. Yeah. Let me see if I can do anything. I can't do anything. Well, how about usually it
I
will
just
be.
unmuted you, Linda. Oh, I guess it's not.
Yeah, I can't do anything. But if you go down, in your little pick,
Wait
you
a
got
minute.
it.
Okay, bingo. If you push enough spots, it helps. Anyway, so I'm just going to do the first one. I recognize as blessings a lot of things. This whole period of the coronavirus, this opportunity for inventory, for revision, for renewal, for throwing out, for giving away, for periods of solitude, and then periods of togetherness with one of my adult sons, periods of constraint. I mean, early on, gas was so cheap and we couldn't go anywhere. What a bummer. To put a lighter touch on it, the questions of uncertainty, the questions of what will the new paradigm look like, I also find that I'm not doing things that, what is it? Give me pleasure. No, I'm not. One of the doctors is going to have to help me. I'm not getting enough dopamine in my life. And so I went out the other day and I bought a bunch of herbs and I planted them in the ground. I see all of these as blessings. And yet in this now moment, they feel onerous. They just feel onerous. I especially miss incarnate community. I don't mind being alone, but I miss my communities, my little communities. I mean, I'm so glad I'm here, but I want to hug and kiss each one of you, and it's just not going to work, and it's a bummer. And so I appreciate the blessings, but I'm kind of saying, God, could you change it soon or something? Or help me to understand it better so I can elevate my consciousness. And it's interesting because in my other life, I have given this blessing on so many occasions, And interestingly, I always raise my hands, always. So, the birthday.
Thank you so much. And Renee and Jane.
In this period, I have felt mainly numbness. Everything feels overwhelming. And what the blessing that brings me right now, right this minute, to tears is the kindnesses I see around me from other people, whether they're my sons and daughter-in-laws and grandchildren and their potential, or friends, or my iPhone and what I'm reading about people constantly, since that my iPhone seems to be my greatest friend and companion these days. And it breaks through and brings me to tears out of the numbness. And the other part is, I'm not quite sure how this fits in, but like Devorah, I'm reflecting a lot on racism and the history of racism. And I read during this period a book called White Racism, which at the time made me feel very defensive and angry. But I'm glad I read it, because there's a lot of truth in acknowledging how privileged I am, how privileged we are, and how this feeds the situation and helps us understand it. And so that's a blessing in a way too.
Shamati, thank you so much. And Jane and Melanie, and let's see, yeah.
Okay. As I'm sitting here in this group, I'm also facing out and seeing the birds at my feeder, and there are baby birds being fed by their parents. So I feel that I'm receiving the blessing of continuity, the blessing that life goes on, no matter what goes on in our lives. And that feels particularly important right now. And the blessing I would like to receive is, or two actually. One, the blessing of peace, and
oh, it's Oren and Lucinda. I thought so, but
the blessing of peace and the blessing of a sense of direction forward. Debarti.
Shamati, thank you so much. And it's Oren and Lucinda. I looked like Oren and Lucinda, but it said Melanie, so I always trust the what it says, not what my eyes, not the faces that I see. So Oren and then Lucinda.
Yes, together we're now known as Melanie. Good morning. So we are both sitting here in beautiful Ann Arbor this morning. So the blessing that's really been coming through me all week is a blessing for our Black and brown brothers and sisters, that they will stay safe and healthy. And a blessing for all of us that we will finally come to terms with our legacy of racism and racist violence and brutality, and find a way to heal our way to a peaceful and just future.
Thank you.
Can Yehi Ratzon.
Lucinda and Barbara.
We made our sacred pilgrimage on Shavuot home to our sacred home in Ann Arbor at the time that this is the time in ancient times, but from a Kabbalistic perspective, energetically, people throughout history have been making the pilgrimage. And there's something that happened during Pentecost and Shavuot, the energy of hope, the energy of gathering, the energy of coming together. Somehow it all happened at this very moment of revelation. And the revelation is that we cannot continue on this planet in the way that we have gotten to, with ecologically, spiritually, as brothers and sisters. We have to recognize a new way forward. And my hope is that I can be part of the new vision that's coming forward, the new energy that's coming forward, the new healing that's coming forward. And that's my commitment, to be part of that. In whatever way I'm here to do, I'm standing up and being called forward.
Amen.
Amen. Shamati. And Barbara.
Hi, I'm zooming in from West Roxbury, Massachusetts, which is a suburb of a neighborhood of Boston. And the blessing I'm feeling is from November to March, I was very, very depressed, and I managed to get out of it as the pandemic was descending upon us. And it's been a huge blessing. I'm now thriving, not just happy. I'm doing all kinds of things. I'm painting and singing and going to all kinds of Zoom meetings. I'm taking a class on Israel and Palestine. I took a class on COVID tracing. I'm trying to get a job as a COVID contact tracer. And I guess my hope for people is that we can emerge from this terrible time and as Lucinda was saying, find a way to racial justice. Shamati. Jabarti.
And Shamati. Yes. Thank you. I'm Elliot. I'm downstairs from Linda, Joe, in Ann Arbor. And I'll just say that the blessing that I am receiving, that I'm opening up to, and that I wish to in some way transmit or have it flow beyond me, is that of hope. And it just resonates with a lot of what has been said till now, and I won't expand on that, but just feel very connected to a lot of what has been said. So let us, I'm going to put the blessing back, and let's feel blessed and bless each other. And I'll put the text back up 1 second. Oh, it must mean that it is up. It is up but hiding. You have to bring it in front. Okay, great. And now let's see if I can get it. And I realized I'm gonna have to do it from the Siddur because it's not transliterated. Sorry. Okay. And now you probably don't see it, so I'm gonna try it again. And here, see if I could make it a little bit bigger. No, I can't. Oh well, maybe a little bit. Ah, okay. And now I have to, I don't know if, I don't know if this works. I'll squeeze it a little down here. Well, you can just, you can you can close your eyes if you wish and just repeat the words that I'm chanting. So first, a blessing for safety. Yevarechecha, you can unmute. Yevarechecha, Adonai, Yishmerecha, may we all be protected by the divine. Ya'er, Adonai, Anav, Lecha, Bichuneka, may the face of the one who is, was, will be, shine upon us and show us all grace. Yisa, Adonai, Av, Elecha, Shem Lecha, Shalom. Breathe that in. And breathe it out into the world, 360 from you. Amen. So, sorry. And now just binding ourselves to each other. Hareini mekabel alai. Hareini mekabel alai. Et mitzvat habore. Me'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Reaka kamocha, Areini mekabel alai et mitzvat habore, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, l'reacha kamocha. Moving to Birkot HaShachar. This is very hard to do in 3 parts, so we probably, well, let's do it as a cacophony and just see what happens. It'll sound, let's pretend it's Schoenberg or something. Okay. Baruch Hu, Baruch Shema Baruch, oh Baruch, oh Baruch, 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 Baruch Shema Baruch
Baruch Hu Ma'amad Ha'aretz.
Amar V'haya Ha'olam Baruch She'amar V'haya Ha'olam Baruch Baruch Shema Baruch Baruch Shema Baruch Baruch Shema Baruch Omer Yosef Baruch Ozer Umekayem Baruch HaMerachem al Haaretz Baruch HaMerachem al Habriot Baruch Meshalem Tzechatov L'Reav Baruch Halal V'Kayam LaNetzach Baruch Odom Atzir Baruch Shemo Baruch Atah Vaya Eloheinu Chei Olamim האל הרחמן המעולם בפי עמו משובח ומפואר בראשון חסידיו עבדיו ובשירי דוד עבדך נלך אדוני אלוהינו בשבחו ובשמחות נגדלך ונשבחך ונפארך ונזכיר שמך ונמליכך מלכנו אלוהינו יחיד חי העולמים מלך משובח ומפואר את שמו הגדול ברוך אתה ויה מלך מהולל בתשבחו טוב להודות לאדוני טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב להודות ליה טוב להודות ליה טוב להודות לוויה ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב להודות ליה להגיד בבוקר חסדך להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות באמונתך בלילות טוב להודות ליה Are we seeing Psalm 148? You are. So, Gabrielle, you want to lead us in this?
Okay. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah Adonai min hashamayim. Hallelujah b'amromim. Hallelujah kol melachav. Hallelujah kol tzevav. Hallelu shemesh v'yareach, Hallelu kol kochvei or, Hallelu shemei hashamayim, Behamayim, Asher me'al hashamayim. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, Ki hu tziva v'nivrahu, Ve'yamidem la'ad le'olam, Chok natan ve'lo yavor. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah Adonai min haaretz, Tanenim v'chol tehomot, Eshu varad shelech v'kitor, Ruach sara osa devaro, Heharim v'chol gevahot, Eitz peri v'chol arazim, Hachaya v'chol behema, Remesh v'tzipor kanav, Malchei eretz v'chol leomim, Sarim v'chol shoftei aretz. Hallelujah. Bechorim v'gam betulot, Zekenim im neharim, Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, Ki niskav shemo levado. Hodu al eretz v'shamayim, V'yarem keren lehamo, Tehila lechol chasidav, Livnei Yisrael, am kerovo. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Yisokah. Elechad berani ve'amar chai ani ki lo yir'ani ha'adam v'chai libi u'besari Yeranenu le'el chai libi u'besari Yeranenu le'el chai. Brought forth we were by intent, in counsel and consent, yet hidden is the plan's intent from us who are alive. Libi u'besari yeranenu el chai. Libi u'besari yeranenu el chai. Ram al kol kevodo, Kol pe yechaveh hodo, Baruch asher beyado, Nefesh kol chai libi, Libi u'besari, Yeranenu le'el chai. Libi ובשרי ירננו לאל חי. Oh, am I amazed at you? My arms I raise in prayer to you. My mouth will sing its praise to you. O source and soul of life, libi, libi, ubasari, yeranenu la'el chai, libi, ubasari, yeranenu la'el chai. Haiku of Basho, a cicada shell. It sang itself utterly away. Breathe in and join the chorus of all breathing entities. We breathe in, but the trees breathe out. As the trees breathe in, but we breathe out. Chorus of all living things, our pulsating, breathing, living planet, lifting up its voice in chorus to the source of all being, Nishmat Kol Chai. You can just look at that for a second. Kind of silently sing it to you, or sing it aloud. You're on mute. Sing as loud as you wish. There's a breath of life, the breathing of all life. Gives joy and blessing to your name as lovers lie within each other's arms, whispering each other's name into the other's ears. Oh, we love it. Guides us, Jesus, transforms us, teaches us. First, let's walk from future inward, outward between. You are the breathing that gives life to all the worlds, and we do the breathing that gives life to all the worlds as we breathe out what the trees breathe in, and the trees breathe out what we breathe in. So we breathe each other into life, we and you. Yahweh. And just for a moment, I'm going to stop the share here, and let's offer up blessings with our body to each other here, in the presence of each other. Just motion that blessing. Lift it up, lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. Knowing that we are all vessels of blessing. You can do this either standing or sitting. Baruch Hu. And let's unmute for this. And you can choose whether you want the echoing or the calling. It'll sound a little cacophonous, but that's all right. Baruch dear one,
Dear one, we have a
Shekinah,
bless and give us strength and make our visions clear, and the bless give us courage today.
as I call,
Lord, your Shekinah, holy name, I call, light of my soul. I come home.
But
Oh, dear one, Shekinah, holy name.
Shekinah, as I call
Of my soul, I come home. Oh, dear one, Shekinah, holy name.
Adonai Hambora, Hamba, Baruch Katabaya Eloheinu Yotzer Oru
Shalom, Ureatako.
Borech Hoseh Shalom Uborech forming light, creating darkness, making shalom, creating the whole, forming light, creating darkness, making shalom, creating the whole. Yotzerot Uborech Hoseh Shalom.
Good kitty.
Yes. Thank you.
Let's think of that shalom as a vast rainbow, weaving together of multiple colors and different wavelengths of light being woven into a whole, and with a prayer that after the rain and maybe in the midst of the rain, which may turn out to be Gishmei Bracha, may turn out to be rain of blessing, that the sun will shine through, that each of us will be seen as a holy vessel of being, and that safety and being able to live with and live fully is the blessing of shared no justice, no peace. Shalom. 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 Tzedek v'shalom nashaku, both justice and peace kissed each other in an embrace from Psalms. May it be so. And the problem of policing is not unique to the United States, and many of us have been reacting with some trepidation and horror and anguish over some of the policing in the land of Israel and in Jerusalem over the past week. And so we pray that a new and healing light come to us here in the United States, come to us, to our sisters and brothers, our cousins in Israel and Palestine, and throughout the world that's in so need of healing light. Or Chadash Al Tzion Tayer. Or Chadash Al Tzion Tayer. Or Chadash Al Tzion Tayer. ונזכה, כולנו במהרה לאורו. ונזכה, כולנו מהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר. אור חדש על ציון תאיר. ונזכה, כולנו מהרה לאורו. ונזכה, כולנו מהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר. אור חדש על ציון תאיר. ברוך אתה הוויה יוצא המאורות. And just a little meditation on and the word black in Hebrew, one of the words for it is shachor. And I'm thinking of the way in shachor has the same root as shachar, which means dawn, and the dawn of possibility. And shochare shalom, those who seek. So black, dawn, seeking. And so as we learned that one of the ways of putting it is because Black lives matter, all lives matter, and sometimes we need to. I think it's maybe obvious in this crowd, but that we need to say that. We need to say that we can't just simply go to all lives matter. We really have to name that. And yet, I'm also thinking that that may we, through some of the stretching, some of the learning that we doing, moving beyond the zone of our usual comfort, that is the dawning of a new possibility that is opened up among all of us who are shochare tzedek, those of us who are seeking justice and seeking peace, and doing it with love. And so we move to ahava rabbah, v'yached levavenu, li'ava u'lira et shemecha. Before we move to our Shema. Me'acher levavenu, ve'acher levavenu, le'ahava elav, ule'yir'a en'ah, et shemecha. Me'acher levavenu, ve'acher levavenu, le'ahava ule'yir'a et shemecha. Last time. Me'acher levavenu, ve'acher levavenu, le'ahava ule'yir'a et shemecha. יחד לבבינו ליעבור יראת שמך אבינו שלום יבא כנפות הארץ, ותמלכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרת עם כל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך גדול, סלע באמת, ותולך ולאחדך באהבה. ברוכה את שכינה, המברכת את עמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, יא אלוהינו, יא אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. What are the words that we wish to write on the doorposts of our homes? What are the words that we wish to inscribe the gates to our houses of worship, our cities, our parks, our country? And we'll continue on our own. Prayer for the proper flow of the seasons and finding ways to remember the presence of the divine and to remember that which we are called to do, to be bound in love. This misalignment will reverberate throughout your lives, causing needless unhappiness and suffering if we do not care to be partners with the planet. Seat. Remembering that which we are called to be hooked up to keep a wide consciousness, to find ways to be extricated from our stuckness in narrow ways of seeing and being. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzaiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, להיות לכם לאלוהים. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Amen. And let's see if there's anyone who wishes to say, here's the trick, no more than 3 words. Or okay, 5 words. Something you wish to be written on the doorposts of our house, the gates of our city, and maybe on our palaces of power. Choose one only. And just if you wish to to say that, just raise your hand and I'll see you. Barbara. And unmute.
Racial justice.
Amen. What else?
Fairness.
Amen.
All parts make us whole.
Amen. Jane.
Harmony with all beings, human and otherwise.
Said that again. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Harmony with all beings, human and otherwise.
Amen.
Be still, know the one.
Amen. Delinda. Oh, I'm sorry, Dvora.
Now I've forgotten it. I'm sorry. I need a moment.
You'll come back to you.
Loving kindness in the use of power.
Amen.
Be radically present.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Radical humility, deep courage. Nomad. Amen. So let's take some time, like 5 minutes for silent prayer, and we'll do the line for Shira Chadasha here, for a new song, that may a new song be sung by us and through us. Shira Chadasha Shibchu Ge'ulim Leshimcha al Svat Hayam Yachad Kulam Hodu Vehimlechu Ve'amru Adonai Yimlo Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam Va'ed Adonai Yimlo Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam Va'ed Tzur Yisrael Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael Be'ezrat Yisrael Uftechinu Mecha Yehuda veYisrael Go Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Kedosh Yisrael. May we live up to the names Yehuda, the one who is grateful in Yisrael, the one who wrestles with God, the one who wrestles with how things are and sees how they might be. Baruch atah havaya Al Yisrael. Back in 5 minutes.
Yes.
And I'll just leave up one prayer for us here.
Yeah.
Make it a little smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that might be too small. Okay. Sorry. Gratitude and peace. Sim Shalom Tova Uberacha Chaim Chen Ba'chesed Berachamim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Sim Shalom Tova Uberacha Chaim Chen V'Chesed V'Rachamim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. And so this is a Kaddish, a prayer that our prayers may be accepted, that they may seep deeply into us, so that we may pray for what we already do have, so that we may pray for the expansion of the divine presence and the recognition of the divine presence in this world, and that well-being come to each denizen of this planet. And so unmute for this. Yikadal vikadash meraba.
Amen.
בעלמא דברכותי והמלך מלכותי בחייכון ובמכון ובחייכון בית ישראל והגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. והשמר הרב עלה מאוד יתברך וישתבח ערבית וממית נשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמר קודשה אלא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם ביומה ואמרו יקבל תודנו ובטוב לכל בית ישראל כל דם אבוהון בשמיא ואמרו ישלם אמן שמיא וחיים אמן. עושה שלום בקרוביו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו וכל ישראל אמן. כל יושבי אמרו אמן. Torah service. Ana, 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 Abda Berichu Ana Abda the Kodesh Berichu Ana Abda the Kodesh Berichu Ana Abda Kodesh Berichu Manana Abda Kodesh Berichu Ana Abda Kodesh Berichu Ana Abda Kodesh Berichu Ana Abda Kodesh Berichu. And we'd like to welcome Linda Leah because we were feeling a little short of Linda's here, and now we're feeling much better. Thank you. Welcome. So I'm hearing all kinds of sounds from outside. The cutting of the grass. I was hearing birds before, but the only good thing about the cutting of the grass there like that is I am smelling grass. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to just take a very quick look here. I said I was hoping to, today that maybe 12-ish. Of course, I got off to such a great start with with the sounds here. So it's going to go a little later here, but I'm going to try to. We'll see how we do here. And so I'm going to put up in a second little passage from Nassau. Here we did one passage already on the here I'm going to put this back up again here sorry, it's just for a second. I just want to show you one thing. Oh my goodness gracious. Here, I know I need to make it really the size of the screen like in a PowerPoint, but what I like really here is the notion here with Birkat Kohanim here, the blessing of the Kohanim that we also offer up, in other situations, including parents and children, and I think it's also cool if young uns give their elders a blessing too, the blessing that comes through them, and so on and so forth. But here it's V'samu et shmi al bnei Israel, placing the divine name on the people. And there is some way that we are receiving that is, was, will be blessing, the blessing of protection, the blessing of grace and illumination of love, in other words, and being seen, and then the blessing of turning towards and lifting up the face to enter into a deeper relationship, and the experience of well-being, safety, balance, inclusiveness, shlemut, all those things that are intended in the word shalom, but somehow with the divine presence there. I want to show you something else now. Here's the other passage. Is this the right one? Yeah, kind of, but let me get the other one. In Numbers chapter 7 here. We'll just read this. Here are people seeing where it says Numbers chapter 7? I can't see. Jane, are you seeing it? You're not. Okay. Okay, so let me do this again. It's always a question of what can be seen.
What you had on earlier was showing up.
Right, but not that. Yeah, that's the way it sometimes works here. Sometimes I'm able to go back and forth between. Okay, so we're just going to read the first seven lines, and if you don't mind, if I call on you, just as I see you, and Renee, are you willing to read? Just do one pasuk here. You get a long one. Just to set this up, that what I'm sorry, Renee. What's happening here is that different members of the priestly group have different responsibilities in the carrying of the ark. And so just the children are wandering in the desert. And just to bring this in, at the center of the desert, we learned last week that they are configured in four groups of three tribes in each direction of the four directions. And the Levites, who are really without land, kind of have a different kind of space. It's a space that's not a conventional kind of space that they have, but they're the ones who minister to the Mishkan, to that tabernacle, to that dwelling place where the divine is concentrated. There are different families: the Kahati family, the Gershuni, the Gershon family, the Merari family, as well as Moses and Aaron and the immediates, that the Kohanim, that are gathered, and they're being charged with taking care of and carrying the equipment, basically, as they move in the desert and looking after it. And meanwhile, they're going to be anointing the temple, the shrine, which is a really interesting thing with fragrant oil. And then different representatives of the 12 tribes are going to bring a kind of offering. That's part of what happens in the chapter here. But I just want to read this little passage from chapter 7. This is right after Birkat Kohanim that we just read. Okay, so now Renee, and then and then Linda Leah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
So verse 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it came to pass on the day that Moses had made an end of setting up the tabernacle
That's right.
and had anointed it
Yeah.
and sanctified it,
6.
and all the furniture
Right,
thereof,
right.
and the altar and all the vessels thereof, and had anointed them and sanctified them.
Linda
Yeah.
Leah. Yeah. And then Gabrielle will be next. Yeah.
That the princes of Israel, the heads of their fathers' houses,
Oh,
offered.
yeah.
These were the princes of the tribes. These are they that were over them that were numbered.
Yeah. Oh, do one more. That wasn't so much there.
And they brought their offering before the Lord, 6 covered wagons and 12 oxen, a wagon for every 2 of the princes, and for each one an ox, and they presented them before the tabernacle.
Okay, Gabrielle, and then Lucinda.
And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Take it of them, that they may be to do the service of the tent of meeting.
Really awkward English, yeah.
Yeah. And thou shalt give them unto the Levites, to every man according to his service.
Okay, Lucinda, and then Oren, yeah. Do 6 and 7, go ahead.
And Moses took the wagons and the oxen and gave them unto the Levites.
Okay.
2 wagons and 4 oxen he gave unto the sons of Gershon, according to their service.
Okay, Oren, and then 9 will be Linda, Dominic, yeah.
And 4 wagons and 8 oxen he gave unto the sons of Merari, according unto their service, under the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest.
Okay. And then the Dominic. Okay, this is the line here we're going to look at. Oh, you have to unmute. Oh, no worries. It's a little tricky, right? Okay. No big deal. Okay, you got it now.
Who, me? No. Well, now I can't see it. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Dvora, can you read that?
But unto the sons of Kohath he gave none, because the service of the holy things belonged unto them. They bore them upon their shoulders.
Okay, so that's really what I want to look at here. I'm going to stop share this. I'm going to put on something else here, and forgive me because I didn't get to translate this, but I'll give you the sense of some of this here. Is that right? I put the wrong one on. Okay, let me try it again. Here, if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Huh. You know what? I think it's in front of it, and that's the problem. Let me get this down. Do you see this now? We're in verse 9. Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yes,
And
yes.
sons of Kahat. So you can see it right here. So I just want to show you something. The notion. So it's really interesting. So the Levites have this are serving really the and maintaining the infrastructure, the holy infrastructure in a way. But there's something else that we're going to see that in the tradition, it doesn't mention it here, but we know that the Levites had another very powerful task besides serving the attending to the priests and dealing with a lot of the infrastructure and the equipment, and that is anyone? Pop quiz. No, it's well, they
Also
sang.
the singers and the musicians.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what they were. They were the singers and the musicians. So this is the key thing right here. And I'll just give you a sense of a couple things here. This is some Hasidic masters right here, and there's something from. I just have a note. I heard Tamar Elad Applebaum a few years ago talk about this, and afterwards I just wrote down a few ideas that I took away from it. And so the question is, in the tradition, they said, who was it who really was doing what was carrying forth the tabernacle in the desert, the tabernacle that was at the center of the community? Again, in rabbinic tradition, remember, they in the ark, which is in the tabernacle, it has both the whole tablets and the shattered tablets. I always give over that teaching because it's so powerful. The tablets of those of us who are whole, the tablets of those of us who have been shattered, the moments of wholeness and shatteredness in our lives, as it's read in the Talmud, and that it's not whole unless it contains both the whole tablets and the shattered tablets. So that's like one thing that I want to remind us of. And the other thing is, there's a question of who is really involved in the work at the shrine there, at the Mishkan. And Maimonides says it was just the Kohanim. Ramban, Nachmanides says, well, no, the Levim were there. And there are some other sources who wanted to say, no, they expand the notion of really maintaining that sacred structure that promotes the flow of blessing, that promotes the flow of the divine presence, is kolel, that it's a mitzvah that is incumbent on the entire nation. And so the thing that I'm looking at is really, what does it mean that they bore these holy things on their shoulder? Bechetef Yisau, that is, with their shoulder, they carried the Mishkan forth. And so one of the things that's so interesting here, they say, why does it say ketef with their shoulder instead of shoulders? Okay, so you can imagine some of the teachings are, well, it teaches that the people really need to be ketef el ketef. They need to be shoulder to shoulder, and that they're unified somehow. Masaharon garam lekeruva levavot. The carrying forth of the holy ark here brought about a proximity, a drawing near of all of their hearts, until it was as though they were a single being carrying aloft the ark of holiness with one shoulder. Okay, so that's one tradition here that's kind of cool. Another one, let me see if I can find this right here, from an early Hasidic source, the Toldot Yaakov Yosef. Here it draws on the Midrash here, and that is that in truth the ark carried those who carried it. Isn't that interesting? The ark carried those who carried it. That is to say, Haron noseh et nisa'av, right? And so long as they didn't, the people who carried it, who were engaged in the work, didn't kind of get distracted and wander away from it, right? And it's like, what does it mean to say bechetaf yisau, to lift up the ark with their shoulders? It means that when you do that holy work with that kind of intention and consciousness, then it allows for a deeper kind of dveikut. And in that dveikut, even though it's weighty work, you're borne aloft by it. It carries you. And yeah, here's another source that says this: in the future, this is going to be the work of all the people. Hamone am hamaksikim yad. Okay. And I'm not going to go into what that means here. And I'll show you, here's Nachman that says, how is it that they bore aloft the work? It says to carry. We have this in English too. We say to carry a tune. Isn't that interesting? And it says here, it says to carry that work. How do you do it? You do it, that to carry, to yisu, that to lift up the ark, means nothing else than it means to engage in song, right? What does it mean? As it says, lift up your voices in song, right? Lift up. So to lift up the ark really means lift up that holy vessel of your heart, of your intention through song. Song is the act of lifting, and utnu tov, and beat out the rhythm. and so that's like an interesting notion here. And the Sfas Emes really goes into this here. It says they were like the cattle who took the straight way when there were these cattle that were bearing the ark from the land of the Philistines. The Philistines had captured it in the Book of Kings, and the Israelites regain it, and the cows, vayisharna haparot, they took the straight way. But vayisharna, took the straight way, in Hebrew also means they sang. So how did the cows lift up the ark? It's through their singing, through their holy singing. And so there's a sense here that the work of, what does it mean to do this work of lifting up? It's the work of singing that you do when you are bonded to the source, where you are bonded to each other. So you are shoulder to shoulder. And they say sometimes you're not just doing the work shoulder to shoulder. You are so bonded with each other that you're also doing the work panim el panim, face to face. In other words, you are bonded with each other, looking at each other face to face, even though you're doing the work shoulder to shoulder. And you do that through the voice of singing. Part of this whole notion of being bonded in this way is the word levi in Hebrew has a root meaning of being connected, So there's this wordplay of singing, of being connected, of working with each other, being so connected to the work that the work carries you. You carry the tune, and the tune carries you. And so I just wanted to stop here to think about this here. I'll just that the notion that when you do this work of avodah, of service in the divine, it is as though that when you do ikar avodah, that the essence of the work of Torah and the mitzvot, and the work, I'm going to say the work of justice, of carrying the ark of community that has within it the shatter tablets and the whole tablets, that work is to it means that you are also filled with song and melody here, with poetry, with song, with melody. And this is when you believe in your, so you know in your soul root that you are connected to the source of being. And I'm reminded here, I'm going to stop here, of Heschel, of whom it was said that when he marched in Selma, Alabama, he marched with a Hasidic niggin in his heart. And it struck me that that is a kind of carrying the burden, carrying the work of the day. But somehow, if you're connected, and if you are shoulder to shoulder marching, and you are also face to face with those you are, with those who are marching, that somehow you are also borne aloft, and it helps carry you through the travail and through the radical fear that comes of being so exposed in such a moment. I'm going to open it up for a couple minutes now. Okay, Dibarti. Any thoughts on carrying and being carried, or shouldering and carrying a tune?
Yeah, I have some thoughts.
Okay, so I see Renee, who else? I see Gabrielle, and I see Oren. Okay, we'll have time at least for 3, and the rest, we'll take offline here just to give it time. Oh, and Barbara, 4. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Okay, just so we're done. Yeah. Oh, everyone wants. Okay, if you do it, just the last couple people just try to be brief. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get off soon. So what is carrying
you have to be brief then.
I'll be very brief. Okay, so what is carrying me right now, and what I'm thinking about, is that I actually have 3 online recitals, all my students this weekend, and one of them in about 45 minutes. So I'm certainly carried by the music, and I'm carried by them playing the music that I'm working with. And we're working on a very deep level, and it doesn't matter if the kid is 5 years old or 15 years old. It's still, there's a depth you can, even a greater depth you can get into all the time. So it's a combination, and I guess I'm really blessed because it's a combination of community, people, and caring, and music.
Yes.
That carries me.
Yes, that's right.
Amen. Thank you, Gabrielle.
You bet. Have some.
Then Oren.
I actually don't have thought, like a really well developed thought. All I want to say is that I'm vibrating from what you're saying, that it really is important to me, and exciting and opening, and I don't have more to say than that.
Shamati, Oren, Oren, and then Barbara, and then Vora.
A couple of things riffing on this. So one is I think about shouldering the responsibility.
Yeah, totally.
That's part of the shoulder, but also
yes.
In a way, what's happening right now all across the country. I mean, it's awesome that this week's Parsha. All across, if we think of the chanting that's happening in the streets as the song, right? It's all being lifted up. So what I think about is for those of us, because of, like, I know for me, there was a time in my life where I would have been out there on the street, and I was out there on the street. Because of my age and condition, I'm not going to do it because of the threat of the virus. So what I pray for is that the chanting that we do, the holy chanting that we can do together, can blend with the chanting that's happening on the street, and that it all gets lifted up together as a power for change.
Amen. Shamati. Shkayach. Barbara and Dvora.
I just want to shoulder the burden of my Black and brown sisters and brothers, and fight for racial justice, and help them through this terrible time.
Ketef, ketef, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you. And Dvora, Yasher Koach.
Yo heave ho, we pull together. Just that thought that singing is a way of unifying when you're working together. It coordinates you rhythmically and spiritually and does make you one.
Yeah, and I'll just, the only thing I'll add, it's kind of riffing on all this, is just how important the chanting is at you know, in transforming the nature of some of the gatherings, both as you're marching and there was like a wonderful moment when I heard that people broke into Bill Withers' "Lean on Me," right? That was really really powerful. And then even We Shall Overcome in Minneapolis rose up. And, you know, so it's really the sense of in the act of blessing, you become blessed. In the act of singing, you are sung. In the act of carrying the burden with this this deep connection, you are carried. And so, yes, let us lift up our voice together. We're going to do Eitz Chaim Hi, and just to be connected to the tree of life, to our sacred teachings, to the tree of life that is the sacred work, that is the blossoming of possibility in our neighborhoods, in our communities, in our country, in the planet. And so we'll do that with that intention. And no one can carry something by themselves. Is that what you're saying, Jane, there? Yes, absolutely right. You can't do this by yourself. And yet everyone profoundly matters. And so that act of carrying together is that act of chibur. It is a very physical and spiritual act of bonding, and so, yes, beautiful. So let me put this back on and say Yasher Koach to everyone here. I'm going to take this down for now. Oops, down for now. And, oh, who knows what I'm putting down? Okay, hopefully I have this back. Great. But now I'm going to share it. And sorry for narrating my way through this. Okay. And I'm going to go somewhere. Oh, the brachot. I want to say also, I didn't do this, I normally do, that prayers for healing for those who've been wounded, for those who are carrying wounds, for those who are need healing of body, mind, of soul, for those who feel so alone, who need that sense of healing touch, and for those who are carrying the ravages of the virus, and those who maybe who've been postponing treatment while during this period as well. Just a prayer. Ana elna refana la. Please, God, heal that one. Eitz Chaim Hi למחזיקים בה בתומכך מאושר דרכך דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיך שלום. שיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם. Renew our days as of old, but kedem means not only connecting to the primordial and to the root, but kedem also means a moving forward, kadima. It's one of those words in Hebrew that is a thing and its opposite. So may we draw on the well springs, on that which really matters, as we move forward, carrying the wisdom and the of our sources with us. Okay, so now we're going to do Aleinu, and for our Aleinu we are, oh, okay, yeah. I meant to put in the updated Aleinu here. Let's see if I have it. Otherwise, we will simply do that. I have it, but I didn't. I don't think I pasted it in here, did I? Aleinu redone. Okay, sorry, that's what I want. Okay, Aleinu redone. Okay, you have to tell me. Do you see the new text or not? Oh, yes. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol. Oh, come, let us praise the light of the world and add to the greatness of the shaper of life, who made every people a spark divine and blessed each one in its own special way, who gave to us a Torah of truth and destined us to hallow this world. Let us lift up our hearts and praise and joy and thanks, receiving the Spirit, the life within all life, the Holy Blessed One, who Eloheinu Einod. This is our power. There is nothing else. And we hope, how we hope, that all the many gods of divisiveness and distortion, of pride and destruction, that all these gods, broken pieces of the whole, will find their way back into the single vessel of life, that the one might become truly one. May we hold to this vision that seems so incomprehensible, despite history, in the face of despair, that someday, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Ba'ed, the source of all being, will be the center of all being forever and ever. V'ne'emar v'chaya havaya lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom mahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo u'shemo echad. On that day, the source will be known as one by all the faces of its glory. And now, and ultimately, we want to acknowledge the death, the passing of Jane's brother, and our hearts just reach out to you, Jane. And some of us met your brother at Don's funeral. And so, if you wish to say a sentence, even the name of your brother, we can really hold him in our hearts and hold you in our hearts. You at the center of our community now.
Thank you. His name was Jim Banks, and he was my younger brother by 4 years.
So sorry. May the place of the world send you waves of comfort, and may you be comforted among the mourners of the people of Israel and those mourning on this planet. So we'll do it together, you and I, and any. Say, go ahead. I can't see people. Go ahead. Anyone else? Yeah.
Lucinda, this is my mother's yahrzeit today, Sarah Pittler-Kurtz.
Thank you so much. And anyone else? Okay. And yes, bearing those who've met with just tragic, illegal murder, holding that in our hearts as well. Too many to name. and George Floyd being someone who's on our minds right now. Yitkadal v'yitkadosh
Amen.
Ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon ufchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen.
Amen.
Yehe shmei rabba mevarach ve'alam omei
Oh my God.
Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudusha
Rechu.
le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru
Amen.
יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, בחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו
Amen.
Amen.
I also want to name my cousin, Betty Weinschel, who passed on Thursday as well in Chicago. And so here, let's just look at each other for a moment here. We're going to end, we're going to do the circles chant. And then what I think after that, I just want us to invite us to just to offer up any note. And I know the tendency is for us to have move towards the same note, and that's fine. But it could also harmonize or just weave together in unusual ways. And it's just a lifting up of our voice in to join with all those others who are marching and praying and doing the on the street work and the legislative work and the NGO work and the face-to-face work and holy work of making this a fairer, more inclusive and just society. Yeah, so we'll start with the circle song, circle chant. I'll make this a little bigger. And are people seeing it or not? You have to say it aloud.
No.
No, I didn't think so because I'm not seeing anyone. So let me do that. Okay, here. And the circle round, and I'll make it bigger. It just doesn't. Oh, I know how to get it bigger. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us imprisoned. Circle for peace. Circle round the planet. Circle round each soul. For the children of our
children,
keep the
circle.
Go round
for freedom,
circle
round
For peace,
for
for all
all
those
the
in
prison,
circle
for
for
release,
around
round for planet,
circle
circle
round
round for soul,
for the
children of our
children.
children,
Keep
the
the
circle.
and now if everyone you can just as we say Benomar Amen, you can just tone any note that comes to you. Benomar Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good Shabbos. Shabbat
Shabbos.
shalom.
Shabbos.
We'll do